Hello everyone, welcome to Career Launcher. We are back with our next session on MH CET and time to quickly get into practice mode. I hope you're ready to start with the different questions across all the topics that we'll be covering. Right, it will be quick recap or revision of some of the important concepts across all the important topics, the different kind of expected questions, and also some previous year questions that we'll be looking along the way. Right. So let's start. Here we go. Okay. So first question has something to do with uh, percentages, and let's see. So the price of sugar was increased by 32%. A family reduces its consumption so that the expenditure on sugar is up by 10% only. Now, what does this mean? So since price has gone by a higher percentage but expenses are not increased by that, so expense has increased but not increased by as much as the price, so definitely the consumption has decreased, right? So the question is asking that if the total consumption of sugar before the price rise was 10 kg per month, then we need to find the consumption at present, right, in kg, right? So the important thing to understand is that how the quantities are related here, right? The consumption into the price is basically the expense, right? So let's say E stands for expense equals price of the sugar into the consumption, which is given to be 10 kg. C, the consumption is going to be 10 kg per month. Since we don't know the value of the price actually, so we can assign any suitable value. I'll go for 100 rupees per kg, right? It might be anything, right? So therefore, initial values, initial values that expense equals, if we assume this to be 100 rupees per kg, into 10 kg was the initial consumption, so 1000 rupees in total was the initial consumption, initial expenditure, right? Now, so expense has increased by 10% and price by 32%. So we assumed at this stage, we assumed, let's say that price is 100, right? This was our assumption. So now the new price is 132, right, based on the increase. And since the old expense is 1000, so the new expense, which is 10% more, comes to be 1000 into 10, 1.1, which is 1100. So therefore, we can now find that what is the new consumption, right? Consumption will be new expense divided by new price, which is 1100 over 132. 132 is divisible by 11. It is 11 into 12. So after dividing 11, we are left with 100 by 12. Or 4 can be cancelled further. So 25 by 3. So 8 is a 24 and then 1 by 3. So this is 8.33 kg, right? So very simple calculation based on percentage changes, and right, this is the starting point to understand how the different parameters are related, right? So therefore, the point is that when you have such questions, the first thing to understand is the equation that relates the different variables, right? All right. Let's see next one. Okay, so we have something on averages. Let's see. The question defines a lot of variables here. There are 4 consecutive odd numbers, x1, x2, x3, and x4, and 3 consecutive even numbers, y1, y2, y3. Okay, I understand that, consecutive odd and consecutive even numbers, both of them differ by basically 2, right? 1, 3, 5, 7 are odd numbers differing by 2, 2, 2, etc. Now, what is given? The average of the odd numbers is 6 less than the average of the even numbers. If the sum of the 3 even numbers is 16 less than the sum of the 4 odd numbers, what is the average of x1, x2, x3, and x4? Well, see, I think 2 informations are given, and there are primarily 2 variables, right? You might think, okay, we have 4 and 3, 7 variables, but it's not like that, right? Because eventually those numbers have a spacing of 2. Now, since the information is given in respect of the averages, so I would feel it is convenient that we assume the average to be a variable for both the group of numbers, right? So let us say I'm defining a is the average of the 4 odd numbers x1 to x4, and let's say B is the average of the 3 even numbers y1, y2, y3. Right? So if average is there, so we can also define the sum in terms of average, because sum of values is number of values into average, right? So what will be the sum of these 4 variables? Simply 4 times the average. And likewise, the sum of these 3 even numbers will be 3 times the average. So now we can easily write the equation in terms of this A and B, because the information is given in terms of that. Right? So the first statement is average of odd numbers, which means the first 4 numbers. So that average A is given to be 6 less than the average of the 3 even numbers, which is B minus 6 is the first equation. And likewise, the second equation is that the sum of the 3 even numbers, which is 3B, is 16 less than the sum of the 4 odd numbers, which will be 4A minus 16. Just solve this. We have to find the average of the first 4 odd numbers, which is we have to find the value of A. So I think we can substitute B as A plus 6 from the first equation in the second equation. So here we get that 3B, which is thrice of A plus 16. So 3A plus 18 equals 4A minus 16. Perfect. So I think 4A minus 3A is coming to be 18 plus 16. That makes it what? 34. Yeah, that is our answer, 34. Right. So therefore, what did we learn here? Based on the information, how it is defined, you then define the variables. Right? Means you could have also done this question by taking, let's say that, okay, you take, okay, I know x1 is there, so x2 is x1 plus 2, x3 is x1 plus 4. Right? You could have gone in that direction. But since so that could I mean, making the equation in respect of the way you define the variable like that, might be a little more complex, because right now it's easy the way we have taken that the average is the variable, right? Because the information is given in that respect, right? तो जिस तरीके से इंफॉर्मेशन दी होती है उस तरीके से वेरिएबल को लिया जाए तो इक्वेशन बनाना आसान है और उसको सॉल्व करना आसान है. दैट इज द मॉरल ऑफ द स्टोरी, राइट? So these things, matter ultimately, Perfect. Chaliye. Let's see next one. Okay. Next question is a very famous sort of a question which comes across many times, and it leaves a lot of students puzzled, but actually it is not like that if you carefully understand, right? Let's see. A woman sells to the first customer half of her stock of apples and half an apple. To the second customer, she sells half her remaining stock and half an apple, and so on to the third and to the fourth customer. So she is going in a repeating cycle of selling half and then another half. The half means half of total stock and then half an apple. She now finds, after giving to all these four customers, that she has 15 apples left. So we are required to find how many did she have before she started selling them. So the focus is that you need to, you need to work backwards from the what happens at the last, that you're left with 15. So you need to go step by step to the previous customer and keep on finding that basically this woman starts with how many apples before reaching to a certain customer. So before reaching to the fourth customer, because after giving to the fourth customer she's left with 15. So let's say she had that when she approached customer number 4, that the initial number of apples before she went to that customer was, let's say, X. So the point is, this is what we are left with. So this is the remaining number of apples, right, which is 15. So this remaining 15 is what in terms of what she started with. So this 15 basically is that she started with X. So she gave X first. So when she gave half of X, she was left with X, half of X, which is X by 2. But then she gave half more. So she was left with half less. So another half you subtract, and that is equal to this 15. So basically X minus 1 over 2 is 15. So therefore that gives me excess 15 into 30 plus 131. And now this 31 that I found is basically the remaining number of apples after giving to the third customer. So now retrace to the third customer, right? Let's say that she started with Y number of apples before reaching, before giving to the third customer. So after giving, she is left with 31, we know. So if she started with Y, again, the same thing, that she will be left with Y minus 1 by 2, basically, right? She gives half, she's left with half, Y by 2, then another half she gives, minus half, and that is this 31, right? So therefore that gives me Y minus 1 is 62, so Y is 63, and repeat twice, 2 more times, right? Before giving to the second customer, let's say she started with Z number of apples, she was left with Z minus 1 by 2, right? Same loop, and that equals the 63. So therefore Z is 63 to the 126 plus 1, 127. Again, finally, the last step, this was the remaining number of apples before giving to the first customer. So therefore, let's say before giving to the first customer, the initial number of apples, let's say, was W, right? So W minus 1 over 2 is this 127. So finally, we are getting that W minus 1 is what? 254, right? So W comes to be 255. There is our answer. Perfect. So just keep on retracing from the last stage to the previous customer and sequentially reaching the first. Perfect. All right. Let's look at the next one now. Let's see. Okay. Time and distance. Let's see. A bus covers the distance of first 50 kilometers in 40 minutes, next 50 kilometers at a speed of 2 kilometers per minute, and the next 30 kilometers at a speed of 1 kilometers per minute. What is the average speed during the entire journey? Right. So all of us know the concept of average speed. It is total distance covered by total time taken. Right. In all such questions, there are different phases of a journey given to you. So basically, you have to track down the distance and the time, right, in the different parts of the journey. Now distance is given, but speeds are given, right? Or sometimes time is given, sometimes speed is given. So we have to just convert everything to time, right? So the the first 50 kilometers, right, in 40 minutes, right? 50 kilometers, 40 minutes. The next 50 kilometers. So now what is the time? Time is distance by speed. Speed is given 2 kilometers per minute. Let it be in minutes. We'll get on time also in minutes. 50 kilometers upon 2 kilometers per minute gives me 25 minutes, right? We'll convert into hours at the end, right? And then 30 kilometers. So again, 30 by 1, simply 30 minutes is taken for this 30 kilometers. Right, so we have therefore noted down the distances and the time. So now it is easy to find the average speed, because average speed is defined as total distance covered over total time taken, right? So total distance is 50 plus 50 plus 30, 130 kilometers divided by total time. So now we'll convert in hours. So the time in minutes is 40, 25, 65, and 30, 95. So this is 95 minutes, which is 95 by 60 hours, right? So our units are now fine. This is kilometers and this is hours, right? So therefore, this was 130. And here I'll have 5 can be cancelled, 19 and 12. Okay, so 130 into 12 by 19. So I'm getting into fraction. I need to calculate that in the decimal value approximately. 13 12 is a 156. So this is 1560 over 19. Let's calculate this approximately. 19 8 is a 152. Then 40. So 19 2 is a 38. And then 2 is remaining. 2 by 19 is almost 0.1 or so. Yeah, so 82.1 approximately is the average speed, right? So very simple basic question of average speed. Right, total distance covered by total time taken is the simple concept of average speed. Perfect. तो देखिए इसी तरह के क्वेश्चंस आने वाले हैं आपके लिए, ठीक है, और आपको मोमेंटम में चलना है, मोमेंटम बनाए रखना है, ठीक है। आप matlab, keep on doing the questions in the most simple manner, right? Don't complicate things, right? Keep it simple. जितना simple रखेंगे उतना जल्दी बढ़ते रहेंगे. ठीक है, चलिए हम भी बढ़ते हैं. Next one, here we go. Okay, pipes and systems. Well, there are three pipes, I think. Pipes A, B, C. Okay, so let's look at this carefully. Pipe A, B, C are kept open and together fill a tank in T minutes. Now, pipe A is kept open throughout. Pipe B is kept open for the first 10 minutes and then closed 2 minutes after pipe B is closed. Pipe C is opened and is kept open till the tank is full. So basically, the three pipes are not working all throughout all together. Some of right, they are working for different time durations, right? So let's start noting this. Also, so what is given then? Each pipe fills an equal share of the tank. Okay, now this is interesting. In this way, every pipe therefore has filled 1/3 of the tank, can I say? Right? They have done an equal share. So there are three pipes, they have each filled 1/3 of the tank. 1/3 of the work has been done by the pipes in this way. Okay. Furthermore, it is known that if pipe A and B are kept open continuously, the tank would be filled in T minutes. Okay, so the question, remember, note this, has defined some variable. In terms of that variable, there is an initial situation, right? A kept open throughout this. There by T minutes was there. Now another situation, a second scenario, that if A and B are only kept open continuously, C is not there. So tank is filled in T minutes. Very interesting. How long it will take C alone to fill the tank? Perfect. See, question is actually not very difficult. Looks a lot of information how to process it, but just follow. It's not so difficult. See, 1/3 of the total, 1/3 of the total work, right, equals three things. It equals T minutes of work for the pipe A. So T into A, where small a is denoted as the work done by pipe A, right? It is the efficiency or the work rate for pipe A. Work is rate into time. So 1/3 of the work is rate into time. Time of T minutes, pipe A is kept open throughout for the T minutes into rate, right? Likewise, this is also equal to pipe B is kept open just for the first 10 minutes. So there the time is simply 10 minutes. So this is 10 into B. 2 minutes after pipe P is closed, which means after 12 minutes, pipe C is open and kept till the tank is full. So out of total T minutes of duration, it was not working for the initial 12 minutes. So it was working for the remaining T minus 12 minutes. So this work, 1/3 of the work also equals T minus 12 minutes of work for pipe C. So this is the summary of the first scenario where each pipe is filling an equal share. Now comes the fact that if pipes A and B are kept open continuously, it will fill in T minutes. So the entire work, right, is also equal to T minutes of work for the pipes A and B combined. So their combined rate A plus B will come into picture. So now can you see that we can correlate these two, right? That from the first equation, we also have on one hand that the total work, right, is 3 T minutes work of the pipe A, can I say effectively, right? And from here, it is also equal to T minutes of work for the pipes A and B combined. So I guess I'm from here getting the ratio of A and B from here. Well, that will help us to further, get something. So T cancels and 3A equals A plus B. So B equals 3A minus A, or I'm getting B equals 2A. Very nice. If B equals 2A, then I will come back to this equation whereby T into A equals 10 into B, right? And I think I'll get the value of T now effectively, right? So I have T into A as 10 into B, but B has become equal to 2A from above. So therefore, I guess now this A cancels. Wow, I'm getting my T, the time, as 20 minutes, right? Because that was the units, right? Perfect. So now since I have T, I can come over here and say, all right, so this 1/3 of the work is basically, so T is 20, so 20 minus 12, basically it is 8 minutes of work for the pipe C. So pipe C can do 1/3 of the work in basically 8 minutes, or obviously therefore the total work can be done in 24 minutes. It's a very different sort of a question, right? A little bit, non-routine question, I would say. But if you carefully analyze the given information, not so difficult, isn't it? So the moral of the story, right? Don't get bogged down by a lengthy question or a new style of a question, right? Always be ready to think on the feet, isn't it? Okay. So with that, let's see next one. Okay, so now we are in a different mood with numbers. Let's see. How many even integers n where n lies from 100 to 200 are divisible neither by 7 nor by 9? Perfect. So again, in numbers, these kind of counting questions of based on divisibility, they are very common. How do we do? Sometimes the kind of Venn diagram kind of concept is coming to picture because of the overlapping multiples, right? So it's very much a Venn diagram problem at the same time, right? Because we are counting, right? So multiples of 7, multiples of 9, they are sets, right, within the universe of those 101 numbers from 100 to 200, right? So in total we have, first of all, we are not bothered about all the 101 numbers. We are basically only bothered about the even numbers, because in the first place the number should be even, right? So how many even numbers are there in this whole sample space? My whole sample space is simply even numbers, right? So 100, 102, up to 196, 198, 200. So this list has how many numbers? This is 50 into 2. This is 100 into 2. So this is 51 numbers. I have 51 even numbers in this range. In that range, a number which is divisible by 7, right, is also, I mean, a number which is even as well as divisible by 7 is basically a multiple of 14, right? And a number which is a multiple of 9 as well as even is a multiple of 18. And basically I'm removing the combination or the union of those two sets, right? Should be divisible either by 7 nor by 9, means remove the multiples of 7 as well as 9 from the set of these 51 even numbers, right? So the point is that in this universe of 51 even numbers, this is set A, which is the multiples of 14. A stands here for the multiples of 14, right? So how many numbers are there? Let's quickly find. 14 sevens are 98, 14 eights are 112. So it will start from 14 into 8 up to what? 14 into 14 is 196, and then 14 into 15 is 210, goes outside the range. So from 8 to 14, these are what? 14 minus 8 plus 1, 7 numbers. So my set A is consisting of 7 numbers, right? Likewise, my set B, right, is the multiples of 18, right? Again, quickly, this is 18, 6 are 108 will be the first one, right? And then what? 18 tens are 18, 11s are 198, right? So therefore that is 11 minus 6 plus 1, 6 numbers, right? So my set B is 6 numbers. How many are common? The intersection, the overlap. So multiples of 18 as well as 14. So 7 into 9, 63, into 2, 126. Multiples of 126, the number 126 itself. So there is, because in that range 126 is the only multiple. The next multiple is 252 outside the range. So there is only one common multiple. So what is the union now? We know A union B is A plus B minus A intersection B, right? So simply, right? So that is what we have, 7 plus 6 minus 1, which is, I guess, 12. So we have to remove 12 from 51. 51 minus 12, 39. That is my value, right? Now, those many numbers are satisfying the condition, right? So यहाँ पर ये जो वेन डायग्राम का जो एप्लीकेशन है, right, इसको आप अच्छे से समझ लीजिए. इस तरह से क्वेश्चन होते हैं. देखिए यहाँ तो 2 डिवाइसेस हैं, राइट? 3 डिवाइसेस होंगे तो काफी डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है, मतलब उसको वेन डायग्राम के बिना करना मुश्किल हो जाता है, राइट? सो द आइडिया इज आप वेन डायग्राम बनाएं एंड द ओवरलैप इज बेसिकली द कॉमन मल्टीपल्स, मींस आप एलसीएम देख रहे हैं कि like multiples of both 7 and 9, meaning multiple of LCM of 7 and 9, right? Okay, perfect. So right, this is the way to go, and you know how to do these questions, right? चलिए देखते हैं नेक्स्ट वन. सी. ओके, नाउ द मूड शिफ्ट्स टू ज्योमेट्री, राइट? यही एग्जाम में होना होना है, हमारा मूड चेंज होता रहेगा टॉपिक के साथ, ठीक है? चलिए, ABCD is a trapezium in which AB is parallel to CD. कौन सा बड़ा है कौन सा छोटा है, थोड़ा सा आगे पढ़ेंगे तो समझ में आएगा. ये देखो लिखा है AB is to CD is 1, ठीक है? So the longer one is AB. So on the base I will write AB, and that AB is 2, and ABCD and that CD is 1. Perfect. The sides AD and BC, या when extended, अच्छा extend करना है, intersected a point E. अच्छा, मतलब यहाँ पर ऊपर ले जाना है इसको, यहाँ पर कहीं आगे जाकर के ये इंटरसेक्ट करेंगे, राइट? ज्वालामुखी जैसा बन गया है. ओके, सो perimeter of ABCD is 6 apart from this. Okay, so basically I know AB plus CD, 2 plus 1 3, so this total is 6. तो ये AB plus CD AD plus BC मिला करके 6 है. Then the perimeter of AEB is asked, the bigger triangle that has been formed, you know. All right, now you might think that, you know, we don't know any angle here, we don't know the individual values of, you know, these AD and BC. So how do we proceed, right? Very little less information, but still there's no option saying cannot be determined. देखिए, सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट बात यहाँ पर सिमिलैरिटी लगेगी, because the in trapezium, and when you complete like this, so your DC is parallel to AB, that means your triangles EDC and EAB are similar. तो सिमिलैरिटी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है. मान लो ये x है, मान लो ये y है, हमें पता है कि x प्लस वाई 3 है. मैं उसको जानबूझ करके x और 3 माइनस x इसलिए ले रहा हूँ ताकि थोड़ा सा समझने में आसानी होगा कि बेसिकली यहाँ पर रेशो वर्क करेगी, राइट? अवर ट्राइंगल ECD, right, is similar to triangle EBA, right? And what is the scaling factor? What is the ratio of corresponding sides? So I know CD and AB and their corresponding sides. So CD is to AB is 1 is to 2. So that is the exact scaling factor, right? So each corresponding sides is in the ratio of 1 is to 2. And likewise, ED and EA are corresponding sides. So they should be in the ratio 1 is to 2. Which means अगर ये x है तो उसको भी x होना पड़ेगा ताकि 1 is to 2 हो जाए, ED is to EA. Likewise, EC is to EB. Again, this should be also Y. I think our job is done, right? Because so even though we don't know the unique value of x and y, but eventually perimeter is known because that comes to be x plus y ka twice plus 2, right? So the required perimeter, therefore I think we do know the value is x plus y ka twice plus the base of 2, and x plus y is 3, so 2 into 3 6 plus 2 8 centimeter is the required perimeter. Bas, then that's all, right? So therefore in geometry, particularly triangles, right, similarity is a very important tool to be able to you know, get to some results like this, particularly जहाँ पर length वगैरह निकालनी है, because similarity से ratio of sides आ जाती है and we can easily get to the bottom of the things, right? Okay, चलिए इसी स्पिरिट में देखते हैं और क्या है, प्रैक्टिस करते हैं अपनी जारी. आप मेरे साथ प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं. Okay, mensuration. So let's see, right? A cistern 6 meters long and 4 meters wide contains water up to a depth of 1 meters 25 centimeters. Perfect. The total area of the wet surface shall be. देखिए, क्वेश्चन को ध्यान से समझना है. Cistern means just a, you know, tank kind of, right? So basically that's a cuboidal you know, figure shape, solid, rectangular solid. So see, what happens is when he's asking for the wet surface, right, try to understand, he's not asking for the total surface area, he's asking for the area of the wet surface. So you see, when you have a water column, right, like, you know, like that, you know, कि you have a kind of a open cuboid, right? And there's water in this, so what happens is, like, what is your wet surface going to look like? There's water surface on the top, there's a water column, right? So there's a, you know there's a this water column, right? So it will be this this wet surface is along the whole of the walls, right? Which is, if this is length, if this is breadth, and if that is your height, so along the, this is, this is breadth cross height, this is, and that surface is length cross height, you know so there are these four walls, and there is obviously the base, but on the top there is a water itself, so there is no surface on the top, you know right? There is no surface on the top which is wet, right? So therefore, uh, that length cross breadth, the base is there, but there is no top which is wet, right? So therefore, he's not asking for the total surface area of the cuboid, he's asking for the wet surface, which is length cross height, breadth cross height, so twice of length cross height plus twice of breadth cross height, but for the base only once, right? So that is the thing to understand, right? It's a very simple logical thing to apply, right? It's not mensuration, therefore is not just अच्छा formulas क्या होते हैं वॉल्यूम के, सरफेस एरिया के, उसको अप्लाई करना नहीं, क्वेश्चन के कॉन्टेक्स्ट को समझना इंपॉर्टेंट होता है, right? So that is what you have to calculate. I think now you can put the values and get it out. So basically it becomes what, can I say, L is height is common here, so 2h into length plus breadth plus length into breadth. Put the numbers now. Put everything in meters. This height is 1/4, which is 5/4. So height is 5/4 meters into length plus breadth is 6 plus 4, 10, plus length and breadth 6 into 4. So that gives us 2 will cancel with 2, 2 will cancel also from here. 5 into 5, 25 plus 6 into 4, 24. That is 49 meter square. Perfect. राइट सो क्या होने वाला था इस क्वेश्चन में, मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द जनता बस ये करती है, अच्छा ट्वाइस ऑफ लेंथ ब्रेथ प्लस लेंथ हाइट प्लस ब्रेथ हाइट बस कैलकुलेट करके वो 53.5 मार्क करके अपना आंसर गलत करवा लेती, राइट? तो ये नहीं करना है, क्वेश्चन के कॉन्टेक्स्ट को समझना है, राइट? ओके, चलिए ठीक है, और देखते हैं नेक्स्ट वन. Okay, probability. Let's see. Gajodhar throws 2 ordinary dice simultaneously. What is the probability that he shall get 2 numbers whose product shall be an even number? Probability के क्वेश्चन में भी अल्टीमेटली काउंटिंग नहीं करनी होती है. It probability is simply favorable weighs upon total weighs. So what is the total outcomes? He's throwing 2 dice. Each of them have 6 options from 1 to 6. So total 6 to 6, 36 outcomes are possible. That is my denominator. That is my sample space. What is the favorable ways? Now in this case, favorable ways को डायरेक्टली काउंट भी कर सकते हैं, बट मैं पर्सनली सोचूं क्योंकि यहाँ पर क्या है, 2 नंबर्स का प्रोडक्ट इवन है, तो उसमें 2 केसेस बनते हैं, या तो दोनों इवन हो या फिर एक इवन हो एक ऑड हो. डायरेक्टली भी काउंट कर सकते हैं, राइट? या फिर कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री काउंटिंग की ऑल द टोटल आउटकम्स माइनस प्रोडक्ट इज ऑड, और प्रोडक्ट ऑड तभी होगा जब दोनों ऑड होंगे. सो 1 2 3 4 5 6, देयर आर 3 ऑड, देयर आर 3 इवन नंबर्स, तो दोनों ऑड होने के लिए 3 ways for the first dice, 3 ways for the second dice, right? So 3 into 3, 9 ways, right, are the unfavorable ways. So I've done the complementary counting. आप डायरेक्ट काउंटिंग भी कर सकते हैं, मैंने ऐसे कर लिया. 36 minus 9, right, that is 27. So therefore your probability is 27 on 36, that is 3/4 is your probability, right? So, right, so probability में आपको काउंटिंग ही करनी होती है अल्टीमेटली, फेवरेबल वेज बाय टोटल वेज. दैट इज अ सिंपल कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ प्रोबेबिलिटी. काउंटिंग की जहां तक बात है तो डायरेक्ट काउंटिंग करें या कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री काउंटिंग करें, दैट इज ऑल अप टू यू, हाउ यू फील कन्वीनियंट। कई बार डायरेक्ट काउंटिंग सही में बहुत डिफिकल्ट होती है, यहाँ पर तो फिर भी कर सकते हैं, बट मैं आपके माइंड में थॉट डालना चाहता हूँ कि समटाइम्स द डायरेक्ट काउंटिंग इज अ बिट tedious and sometimes almost impossible, right? इन द कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ कि मुझे 1 मिनट में क्वेश्चन करना है उस हिसाब से, वरना करने को तो कर सकते हैं, 10 मिनट लगा लो, राइट? बट दैट्स द पॉइंट, राइट? सो ऑलवेज थिंक, इज डायरेक्ट काउंटिंग इजियर और कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री काउंटिंग, राइट? ठीक है, चलिए तो देखते हैं नेक्स्ट वन, एक और क्वेश्चन देखते हैं क्या मूड है उस क्वेश्चन का। ओके, लेट्स सी व्हाट वी हैव हियर। Some coins are to be put into 7 pockets so that each pocket contains at least 1 coin. ठीक है, pockets मतलब you can say a kind of a, you know, a bundle, you can say. You have to make 7 bundles of the coins. At most 3 of the pockets are to contain the same number of coins. Okay. And no 2 of the remaining pockets are to contain an equal number of coins. What is the least possible number of coins needed for the pockets? Least number of coins. मैं चाहता तो मैं 0 रखना चाहूंगा, बट 0 अलाउड नहीं है, एटलीस्ट 1 होना चाहिए। अब उसके बाद 1 एंड ऑनवर्ड्स रखना है। अब 1 एंड ऑनवर्ड्स रखना है तो मैं चाहूंगा कि हर किसी में 1 होता, बट फिर रिपीटेशन में भी दिक्कत है कि 3 से ज्यादा में सेम नहीं हो सकते हैं। सो देयरफॉर इट्स अ क्वेश्चन ऑफ ऑप्टिमाइजेशन, राइट? 7 bundles, right? But each bundle is non-zero, so put 1 in as many number of bundles as possible, which is you can put 1 coin in at most 3 bundles, because only 3 packets at the most can have the same number of coins. So 1 1 1 in the first 3 pockets. Next, फिर से minimum, तो next integers just the next one, right? Obviously 1 के बाद 2 आता है, फिर 2 के बाद 2 को भी रिपीट नहीं कर सकते हैं, 2 के बाद 3 आता है, 4 और पैकेट्स हैं, 3 के बाद 4 आता है और 4 के बाद 5 आता है। तो क्या कर रहे हैं? सिंपलेस्ट मिनिमम नंबर्स को ऐड कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि दैट इज द क्वेश्चन, राइट? सो फॉलोइंग द कंडीशंस, फॉलोइंग द रिस्ट्रिक्शंस, दैट इज द सम, दैट इज द मिनिमम सम। 1 1 1 3 3 2 5 5 3 8 8 4 12 12 5 17। ये रहा हमारा जवाब सबसे सामने, राइट? राइट, सो इस तरह के लॉजिकल क्वेश्चंस भी आएंगे, राइट, जिसमें बस आपको ऑप्टिमाइजेशन करनी है, थोड़ा सा सोचना है, राइट? All right, so therefore, right, people, I hope that you have got into, the rhythm with the session, that you have made full use of it, and you'll keep on, you'll carry forward this energy into the exam room, right? So I wish you all the best. Thank you so much, and wishing you good luck for the exam. Thank you so much.